that the Assembly decides to adopt the Pact for the future. It is so decided.
It's a call to action by all member states in an effort to make multilateralism more effective, with a premise that 21st century challenges require 21st century solutions. From the SDGs to how to better respond to conflicts in a digital age that will be dominated by artificial intelligence and robotics. As President Ramaphosa warned that a large chunk of those challenges were existential.
Summit of the future, we must therefore forge global consensus on how to implement the solutions that are embedded in the Pact. This Pact must bridge the developmental divide. It must provide practical solutions to the challenges of today and tomorrow. The Pact for the Future is a great opportunity to change and also to reinvigorate the multilateral system so that it is fit for purpose to address the challenges that the world faces. It is an opportunity also to make good on the promises to reform the global governance architecture, including the international finance institutions and the United Nations Security Council.
He echoed sentiments from the UN Secretary-General that the Summit of the Future was a once-in-a-generation opportunity to forge global consensus towards greater progress, particularly in terms of the development agenda.
The summit must focus on global action in support of the continent's development agenda, Agenda 2063. To be meaningful, this Summit of the Future should reinforce the work towards ending poverty and realizing the fundamental right of development. This summit, therefore, must accelerate our collective efforts to advance development. The key element of the summit is working towards an agenda for peace, and this must involve strengthening the multilateral actions that need to continue taking place. We do believe that this is the time to recommit ourselves to adopting concrete actions, so we should leave this summit with a more ambitious, clearer and concrete call to action to build a world for future generation that is far better for young people and for women than the world that we live in today.
Wasn't all smooth sailing when the Pact came up for its consensus adoption due to objections from the Russian Federation, backed by 6 countries, that sought to introduce an amendment emphasizing the principle of non-interference within the domestic jurisdiction of states by the UN system. But a further amendment introduced by the Republic of Congo on behalf of African states that sought no action on the Russian amendment was backed by 143 member states, dismissing the Russian proposal and allowing the pact to be adopted. An agreement the UN chief believes that, if implemented, could prevent the world from heading off the rails.
The future, the Global Digital Compact, and the Declaration on Future Generations open pathways to new possibilities and opportunities. On peace and security, they promise a breakthrough on reforms to make the Security Council more reflective of today's world, addressing the historic underrepresentation of Africa, Asia-Pacific, and Latin America. They lay the foundations for a more agile peace-building commission and for a fundamental review of peace operations to make them fit for the conditions they face. They represent the first agreed multilateral support for nuclear disarmament in more than a decade. They recognize the changing nature of conflict and commit to steps to prevent an arms race in outer space and to govern the use of lethal autonomous weapons. They include measures to mount an immediate and coordinated response to complex global shocks. On sustainable development, these agreements represent major progress towards groundbreaking reforms of the international financial architecture.
Arguing that the new pact sets the course for international cooperation that could meet expectations. Urging member states to get to work towards a future of peace, dignity and prosperity for all, ideals that would be tested on implementation. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.